Good morning, welcome to my channel, welcome to the world of this form of Maria, of me. And I've been holding the intention to come on in and talk about the ancient mother spiral, which is the body of work gifted to me after a long, deep alchemical inner journey. And it's a body of work that I didn't plan, I didn't strategize, I didn't sit out to theorize how I would move the world. It came from a place of deep embodied surrender. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about the history of how this work came about, because that might be important. So, I'm Maria Kefalogianni. I am holding a lot of hats. I'm an embodied paradox. I love this life and being alive, and I also know it's achingly beautiful to be living in a world that is, in our eyes, seems like it's destroying itself. And so I had this persevering sense of what is my contribution, what is the purpose, what is this life about since I remember me, and a compelling obsession to discover truth. So in the last 9 months, as part of my roles as a presence center psychotherapist, a supervisor, a trainer for therapists, psychotherapists, and supervisors, a writer on studies of consciousness and all matters consciousness, which is my biggest passion. I mean, what's more not to like when you ask the question, what's this life about? And then try your life to attempt to find a meaning that's important for you. So as part of this, I'm also a trainer for psychotherapists in training and supervisors in training. And I had to take 9 months off on sick leave, which we could call that period as a period of intense burnout. But from an alchemical lens, it was an acute burning through and a byproduct of my own spiritual journey, which I began 17, 18 years ago. Well, since I remember me. So in this 9-month gestation, which I've talked about and written about this process in other places, I went very deeply into the cut of reality of what in contemplative traditions is known as unity consciousness, and living through the world from a open, raw, united state of existence. And it was a very intense period of my life, because in unity we experience the beauty, but also in this descent we experience everything else that is not serving us. So I traveled deep in the fire and passion of rage, while the sacred rage, the fire of purification. And anyway, I'm not going to bore you with that part. But during this time, my book was also birthed, Honey and Ash, Mother's Alchemy of Burn and Bloom. I had poems pour into me, 30 a day. It was a really intense opening in my psyche, we could say, and in my consciousness. And this is how my book structure came about. When I was stirring the pot and I was cooking in the ordinary lives of a mama one morning, and I was stirring the pot and I was asking whoever you might want, creator, the God, life, how am I supposed to bring some flesh structure in all these poems? Like, what is the structure you're asking me to bring forth? And then I heard, well, you're a mother. You have birthed children. And I've got 3 children, beautiful children, and 2 in spirit through miscarriages. And so this is how the idea of the structuring of my book came about. And the stages in my book, which I call rites of passage, are there. Meanwhile, I was still off from my main job. And I was experiencing intense bliss and samadhi in the absolute just sheer being here, which is very much part of my daily existence now, when all of these erratic movements of bliss and samadhi and unity and grief, in the acute grief of separation from humanity's exile from our soul. Because what I fell in was not mine. It was not a personal journey. It was cutting through me, through the personal. It was ancestral. It was collective. I was everywhere. I was one with the mother's pain in Gaza, and what had been happening in Gaza is what broke this journey even deeper. And I was still feeling unable. We could call it a spiritual kind of emergence, although I was fully aware what was happening and there was a deeper purpose. I just didn't know what that was, and still don't know, and that doesn't matter, actually. So, do I return back to work? Do you want me to just, what is it when we learn to listen? And I can be very busy and finding hard to listen sometimes. I'm a good student, but I can be slow at learning and listening. So it was the time. So this is how the map of the Ancient Mother Spiral is coming. It was the time when Joanna Macy died. And her death affected me profoundly. And I was in a much more expanded state of being anyway. So I prayed to Joanna. And it's not something that I was intending to share, but it's coming out now, so I'll go with it. And I asked her, what am I meant to do next? We could say this fire of longing for clarity was peaking, and sometimes it has to do that. And then clarity always comes in very obvious ways, but in my thick head, I need to burn that way, it seems. And there was a beautiful message that came, and then it was just very clear. Your map is here already. It was gifted to you. So it was something about honoring the gifts that we receive in this journey. And it's the map of my book. So that night I was pouring into much more depth, understanding, and expansion of my own map. And here's how we come to the Ancient Mother Spiral, which feels such a congruent, mapless map of my own journey. And it has different stages. We could call them alchemical stages or rites of passage. It's a map that guides you back to a sense of inner belonging. It's the very map that now, in my falling, let's say, holds me. And I'm really passionate to show people how they become their own map, their own myth, because this is what we're here to do. So it's a framework, it's a pedagogical framework, it's an alchemical framework that its mission is to, I hope, support, to systematically dismantle or systematically dismember the illusion that we're separate from each other. The root feeling of being alone or disconnected, or that something is missing or even broken. And it supports people to touch their deepest truth. And it's a spiral because I am very spiralic and I don't do linearity, and it's a non-linear path that helps to move away from perpetual seeking and seeking and seeking. And in that seeking, we move away from who we are and the striving, and return back to a sense of embodied wholeness and embodied softness through which we can move and from which we can move to the world. So the stages, and I'm going to do another video because that's getting long, that's just about the story of it. The 6 stages, I think, or 7. The first one is the calling of the honeyed heart, which is the awakening. The second one is like a birth process, like a mother's body knows. Okay, the gestation and growth, the building the honeycomb, building the sweetness of life or an idea or a project. The third one is the descent into the cosmic womb, or the dark goddess, or the alchemy, where we go to ashes, where we burn egoic tendencies and habits. Doesn't serve us. And after that, we move to crowning and expansion. When in a mom's labor, we peak in our contraction. That's exactly where the expansion is. This is not new or anything wise. This is ancient wisdom that was born through me for the whole. And then it's the surrender. The mom, during a birth labor, arrives at a point that she surrenders. And usually it's at the hardest point that she says, I can't do this. It's where we stretch, where our soul births through the surrender. That's the devotion. We give up, we let go. We don't give up. We give into the process, we let go to something vaster that can hold us. Birth happens on its own somehow when we arrive at that place. And the surrender is infinite in terms of life. And then we arrive, some of us, not necessarily a stage to be completed, like these are not linear stages to be completed, into holy union. And that is a sense that we integrate the polarities within ourselves. Enough polarities to begin to really taste the sweetness of this life. Yeah, so these are the stages. And this is the story of how the Ancient Mother Spiral has come about. Keep an eye out, because I'm going to be delving into these stages, and I'll create a series of short talks. If you want, if you have any specific question about an issue that you're tackling with, and how that is mapped through the stages, you can have a look through. And I'll keep creating more videos to explain how these stages work. Let me know if this resonates. Let me know if this speaks to your soul. I'm going to put my link below so you can read a bit more. And I hope this is of some use. Thank you for listening and for your time.